New at 4:30, we've learned that firefighters in Fort Worth have been added back to the response on dozens of emergency calls. It's happening after concerns that some people might be waiting too long for an ambulance or paramedic to arrive. Jason Allen uncovered the change that's happened in the last few days.
For nearly 3 months now, Fort Worth firefighters haven't been leaving the station nearly as often for emergency medical calls. We first reported back in April a new priority plan here to get help faster to the most critical incidents, and that worked. But it also pushed some calls to lower priority. And while people waited for an ambulance, the fire department could have helped out, but in some cases never knew the call came in. Now they are back on notice for a few dozen specific situations, things like allergy, burn, chest pain, overdose, diabetic calls, and they won't go out on all of those. An analysis from the Office of the Medical Director found that very few of those calls, less than 1%, ever need critical life-saving intervention. But just in case, firefighters will run now on about 45 more calls per day across the city. And the fire chief has also told his staff any 911 calls they handle directly to go ahead and respond if they think it's necessary.
We have taken the approach that if we talk to the caller and we think that there's something that we can make a difference on that type of run and that call type, we can start a fire engine as well as transferring the call to MedStar.
Cities can respond with fire crews to join ambulances on whatever calls they want to. They could go to all of them. The new system, though, is trying to make sure there are enough resources to cover the most critical moments. Now, this plan, I'm told, is being reviewed daily. The fire department, the local fire union are all part of those discussions, and there could be more adjustments depending on how this works out. In Fort Worth, Jason Allen, CBS News, Texas.
Jason, thanks for the... Fire engines are joining ambulances on dozens of emergency calls again in Fort Worth, and the change, which Jason Allen learned was just made in the last few days, comes after concerns some people might be waiting too long to get help.
Most of the calls firefighters go to aren't fires at all. They're medical calls. But after the MedStar ambulance service in Fort Worth made a change this spring to save resources for the highest priorities, fire crews are back on the road again for some of those calls that maybe didn't seem so urgent.
We have identified, 10 or 12 call types that really seem to make sense that we start moving the pendulum back towards the middle.
On certain calls, including allergies, burns, chest pain, overdose, diabetic problems, a fire crew is being alerted again, as well as a MedStar ambulance. An analysis found it will add up to 45 calls a day for firefighters, still well short of what the department was doing before this spring.
When the citizens of Fort Worth call, they deserve a response. For what they pay in taxes, they deserve to have a response if they have a medical emergency, and they shouldn't be expected to be experts on whether this is a true medical emergency or not.
Sherman Diedrich with the Professional Firefighters Association raised concerns with city leaders when MedStar made the change in March, highlighting calls where firefighters didn't go and believed they could have helped. An analysis from the Office of the Medical Director found the calls added back rarely need critical intervention, happening less than 1% of the time.
To those citizens, it's an emergency, and they deserve to get someone there to help them in their time of need.
The process could see more adjustments, with stakeholders looking at reports daily to determine if the new system is answering the call. In Fort Worth, Jason Allen, CBS News, Texas.
A long and